Okay, here we go. Hopefully this one will not go so badly like yesterday. Hello guys, welcome to this new live stream. If you can hear me, say something please. If the audio is fine, if the music is too loud, just let me know. Okay, let's do this. So I was working on this room in the last one. I was working on this room. I think there is no point on continuing room in this one because you already saw my workflow, the planting guides, baking details, adding freeze, main clumps, subclumpings, secondary clumps, etc. So I'm just going to jump this part because I will just keep repeating what I've been already doing. So I'm just going to skip this. I'm going to close this project and we are going to work on this one. This one is a little bit more advanced. It is more it have more details. It is more complete. So I'm going to use this one for shading. But in case there in case we have a new viewer or two, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown showing how I made this one. So I'm going to turn off almost all the modifiers here, and I don't have anything baked or collapsed, so you will see here the whole process. So I started adding guides from mesh, but I set the guide count to 1, and then I used an edit guides to plant some roots. I tried to have the roots the roots of the guides at an even distance. This will give me better hair interpolation. As you can see, the except in here, but you can see on top, on the back, they are more or less at the same distance. They are not too close to each other. When two roots are too close to each other, they will generate less hair. So we want dense hair, as much hair as we can, just to create some nice clumping. So now that I have the roots, I set the length. I wanted all the guides to have the same length because I wanted to create a long haircut with layers. Let me show you. Let me show you real quick. Let me open a reference here. Let me open a reference. Wait a second. let's look for a reference here. So this one, for example, you can see how the groom create layers based on the length. You have all this volume here creating one layer, and below this one you have this second layer here, and then you have another and another. To create this type of hair, I set all the guides to the same length, because when you start to groom them, to groom them one by one, you will get the layers by default. For example, the guides on the back will be groomed like this, and but the guides on the top, because they are of the same size, they will end up more or less here, and this will create another layer. And the guides on the front as well, they will be on top of the guides that are behind them, like this. So we have 1, 2, 3 layers. The guides on the front here, you can just maybe make something like this, or comb them behind the shoulder like this, which is what I did with this groom. So now that I have the length, let me delete this. Oops, okay. So now that I have the length, here I set the length. Then I used a symmetry modifier to mirror all those guides to the other side of the scalp, like this. Okay, now I have another edit guides to create the base, the base shape of the groom, like this. So we have this, and we have also some strand groups, as you can see. The reason why these hairs on the front are still straight is because at that point I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do something like this, maybe, but I end up just combing them on the front like this, and behind the shoulder, behind the neck like this, behind the neck like this, on the other side, like this, creating a parting here in the middle. You will see now. So I have another edit guides to shape the final volume like this. As you can see, the hair changes, the shape changes quite a bit. With and without, you see. This one is not bad. It may look good if you want to for example, make a big hair, a big curly hair. It may look good, but in this case I wanted to create something with more weight, with more gravity. So if, for example, you wanted to create something like Let me see if I can find a reference. Something, for example, like this. Or like this. I like this one. I like the curls. So yeah, but I wanted something more like more like this or this. So I end up doing this. I used another edit guides and kept combing the guides to add a little bit more weight. Let's see. Next, I used a last edit guides to do some tweaking. As you can see here, I wanted to remove these intersections with the scalp. Wait a second, this is the same song? No, it's the same song. Give me a second, I'm getting tired of this one. Okay. I need to have some background noise. Just some music there. Okay, so I use these edit guides to remove these intersections with the scalp. You can see the before and after there. And I think I did a bit more tweaking on the front. Or no? No. It was just that to remove the intersections. Then I used hair from guides to generate the hair. Let me turn it on. There we go. So in hair from guides, I went to object and added a distribution multiplier map to determine where the hair will grow on the scalp. And in parting tab, I use the parting tool to add these parting planes like this. Let's see, in the guide interpolation, these are my settings. I think for long hair like this, these are the best settings that you can use. So in guide selection, I have set barycentric. In guide interpolation, I have affine. Guide count, I have interpolation between 3 guides. In barycentric interpolation type, I have manual interpolation. You can also use this one, nearest neighbor. So yeah, that's it for hair from guides. Let's see what else. And in distribution, I used even, but this is there by default. I have the hair count as 100,000 and the viewport count fraction set to 100%, but this is just for preview. I may increase the hair count. I'm going to show you why. For example, if I add edit guides on top of hair from guides, I'm going to enter root mode and select all the strands here. Select all. Here is gray and is too small, but if you can see it here, you can see the amount of strands of hair strand selected right now. And I want the reason why we have less strands than the amount we set here in the render count in hair from guides is because the multiplier map is removing some of them. So if you want to have this exact number, you will have to increase it a bit more, and you add edit guides, select all the guides, then to see how many you have there. We want to implement a better way for you to check the amount of actual hairs, but right now this is one way that you can do it. If you have any questions, you can stop me at any moment. Don't hesitate. So I'm going to delete these edit guides because I don't need that. Then I added a push away from surface with a custom collision mesh. Here it is. Then title modifier to add a more resolution to the hair. As you can see right now, they look very blocky, but with the detail they look smoother. Then I added some freeze to add some volume to the hair to make it look more fluffy. As you can see here. And then I added the first layer of clumps. This is guide clumping, clumps based on guide. So for each guide created here with edit guides or here, you will get one clump. So we get those big clumps there. Okay, I think it's going to crash for some reason. Let's wait a few seconds. Yeah, let me just close it. Yeah, this one. So I was in push away from here in the clumps. So this is the first layer of clumps, which will create those big clumps that you can see here. Before, after, you see. So then I added another freeze to break out those clumps just a little bit. You see, before and after, before, after. On the back, you can see the clumps before, after, before, after. So then I added another layer of clumps to break out the big clumps. So you can see those big clumps are breaked into smaller clumps, and then another layer more to break those smaller clumps on even smaller clumps, like this, before and after, before and after, and another freeze to add all those like outlier hairs like this, to add some noise. I think that's it. Before, after, before, after. Change width is just change width is just to define the width of each hair strand at render time. And mesh from strands is not okay. Let me turn it on so you can see. I use this only for visualization, just to see how the hair looks in the viewport, so we get this. When I want to see the freeze like this, I use mesh from strands to convert the hair to mesh. Let me change the display settings so you can see the highlights. This helps to better see the clumps and all that. Oh, and as you can see the layers, let me show you the layers. I end up with some layers here. The first one is here, as you can see. The second one is over here, then another layer here, and another layer here. And all this is because we set the length here. All the guides are the same length, so we can create those layers when we comb the hair to the back of the head. Okay, so let's start with the shading. Right now I have a standard cinema for the material assigned to the hair. Today we are going to use Redshift for shading, and I'm going to use the Redshift hair shading node for that. Let me find a reference here, because I have I had a question related to this in the previous stream, so I want to address that. The question was by Retro, I think. He's in the chat. Yeah, I think he is. Okay, so give me a second to find a reference. So he wanted to create some colors on the hair like this, like rose. I think he want to create some clumps of hairs like this with a different color than the rest of the hair. I'm going to address this as well, but first let's start with the base color, first with this one, and then we are going to see how to create this clumps like this. Okay, let me move this here. First thing I'm going to do is add a redshift material. Redshift hair. Let's see how it sorry. Let's see how it looks right now. What is it? Let me put this here so we can see the render. It's going to be a bit difficult to organize this because we don't have too much space here, but let's see. So this is what we have right now. It doesn't look good at all, so we have to add a proper shader to it. Let me drag and drop the hair shader and delete this one. Delete the old one. Do I have to re-render, or yeah, I think I have to. Okay, let's wait for the render. Okay, I'm going to open the shader graph to edit the hair. I'm going to put this here. Okay, I'm going to disconnect this. This is for the hair attribute node. We don't need it. So we get this default color. I wonder why it's so slow now. It wasn't. It was faster. Maybe because of the stream. Okay, so we start with this base color. Let's check the lights real quick. Yeah, I have the light connected, the HDRI connected. I wonder why it looks different. The render is slower than I was getting this morning, but we'll have to work with that. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do here, well, the second thing I'm going to do is add okay, let's first check the color. So here in the internal reflection. This is what you use to pick the base color of the hair. For example, I don't know, something like this. Let me just choose a random color. Okay. So I'm going to add now a gradient from the roots to the tips, a darker color at the roots and a lighter color at the tips. By default, you can't do this because by default the hair is using the UVs from the distribution map or the sculpt. So you have to tell the shader, you have to give the shader the UVs of the actual hair strands. To do that, we go here to the utilities, let's see, then to hair, and use hair position. What else? Then we go to texture and let's use a ramp. I'm going to set it with some very bright colors so we can quickly see the differences. Something like this, and maybe some green like this. So it should go from yellow, or no, let's use some pink or something like that to make it more obvious. It should go from pink to green, but if we connect this to the colors here in internal reflection, let's wait for the rendering. Let's give it a couple of seconds. Okay, let's by default it is using the UVs of the distribution mesh, so you don't quite let me let's leave the render at least 1 minute there. Because I think it is picking the... all right, okay, right now it is using the UVs of the hair instead of the default UVs of the distribution mesh. And now I get why the render is slower. Is because we are using mesh from strands. Sorry for that. So in mesh from strands, we have the UVs set to per strand coordinates. So each hair strand have its own UVs, so you actually get the correct result. But we can't rely in converting the hair to mesh. right? Because that will be too heavy and too difficult to render. As you can see here, the hair not only looks different to what the result that I was expecting, but also the render is slower. So remember, we don't use for rendering, we shall not use mesh from strand. So let's try to render again. Okay, now we get the correct wrong results. At least we get what we expect here. It kind of looks good, but this is not what we are looking for. So just to, we don't need this one, so I'm going to delete this. So we actually want the gradient to go from the tip to the root, taking the length of the hair into account. For that, I'm going to use the hair position node. I'm going to take the vector output and connect these two to the input here. It will read the UVs, as you can see, the UVs of the hair, and pass them to the ramp, which will set the color from the roots to the tip. Let's run another render and delete this. Now we get the correct results. As you can see, the hair is going from pink to green, starting at the roots. Just let it run for a few seconds. And you can see this smooth transition from one color to the other. Okay, yeah, this is what we are looking for. But one thing, right now this setup, wait, okay, oops, let me send this. Right now this setup is not taking into account the individual length of the strands. The head length is set to the same, but I add clumps, freeze, so there will be a small variation on the length of each one of the strands. So to compensate for that, to get the correct ramp, the ramp length, I'm going to use where is it? Let's see if I remember where is it. I think it's attributes. No, I think it's called vector length. Where are you? Vector length, here is. So first we can start with the UVs. We pass the hair UVs to the vector, and then we pass the output to the ramp, and then we get a different result, but this one is taking the length of the hair into account. You decide what you want. Maybe one result looks better for you than this. I just wanted to show you both, so you know what to do on each case. There is. Let me show you the before and after. Let me save the image, let it render a few more seconds, and then we will do a comparison between the two. Let me save the scene. In case this crash. Okay, let me save the image, take a snapshot, and then connect the hair position directly to the ramp, like this. Maybe this is what you want. Let it render a few seconds. Oh, hi, Retro. Okay. Well, you can see the recording. So I'm going to take another screenshot to make a comparison. This is with this one is with the vector length node, and this is without. One will take the length of the hair into account, and the other will not. So you decide what looks better for you. Okay, now I'm going to add some color variation to the hair. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, let me delete this and go to utilities, hair, and I'm going to use hair random color. This will randomize whatever color you connect to it. The randomization will be per strand. So yes, okay, we have the colors here in the ramp. So I'm going to connect the, whoops, what is happening? Let's move this to the sides like this, and I'm going to connect the ramp to the color randomization node, and then connect the output to the color in the shader. Now we can play with the hue amount, the saturation, and the amount values to see how far we can get with it. Yeah. I'm going to look into that in a little bit. As I was saying here, I'm going to use this as a reference to show you how to create this type of clumps with a different color. This is what you want, right? Okay, let's do it. So I was saying that we can use a hair random color node to randomize the color of the ramp node. So we change the hue amount here. Okay, first let's okay, we already have a screenshot here, so I'm going to use a really high value so the difference is more noticeable. I always start shading with bright colors like this so I can see the difference very well, and then I just go node by node, one by one, replacing the colors by the colors of my reference. So this is what I'm doing now. Let it render just a little bit more, at least to 5%. Okay, just a bit more so it will remove more noise. Oh, this is the same song again. Let me change this real quick. Oh, okay, that was the problem. Should be fine now. Okay, let me take a snapshot and compare. As you can see, there is more randomization now that there are different shades of pink and green. There are no pure pinks anymore. The green has been randomized and the pink as well, so we get these nice colors, these nice color variations. It's looking better. This is after randomization, and this is well, I mean, this is before randomization, and this is after, without randomization and with randomization. Be nice if you can choose what variation colors can be used rather than hues, rather than hue. Well, yeah, you choose the. You mean here in the. Well, what you are going, you will add variation to already existing colors, and I'm setting those colors here in the ramp node. So it's basically the way they have to randomize the colors is using hue and hue, saturation, and value. This is basically the same as Photoshop. For example, uh, we are basically modifying existing colors. So the hue will be randomized, the saturation as well, and etc. So yeah, you can do that. You just have to choose the colors that you want here in the ramp, or if you are using a texture. I'm thinking like to have different shades of brown for a brown hair setup, for instance. Well, yeah, yeah. Let's say you want different shades of brown. You can just add a color node. Where is it? User color node. Where is it? Color consent, I think it is. No, wait. I do that with color user data node. So let's say you want a bunch of brown shades. You go and pick your brown color. I don't know. Brown. Okay, something like this. I don't know. Some dark brown like this, and connect that brown color to your random hair color node. Let it render, and there you will get your brown color randomized. Let's let it render for a bit and then do a comparison. But if what you want is to have like three specific shades of brown, I don't think you can do that with the hair randomization node, with the hair color randomization node. No, I don't think you can do that there. Okay, let's take a snapshot and do the comparison with and without the random color. Let's connect it directly like this. I can see the difference already. So let's take another snapshot and compare. Here, if I zoom in, I can see each hair strand with a slightly different shade of brown. but I'm not sure if this will be very visible on the stream. That's why I use those bright colors, because you can see the difference there, but it's a bit more difficult to see it here, to see the individual strands. Okay, you have a question. Can you get these fruits darker while keeping that look? Yeah, that's what I was doing here. So you basically, let's see. So you basically use a ramp node with a hair position node, or a hair position node with a vector length node, and connect it to the color input of the shader like this. Let it render. So I have pink to green, but you can, for example, have a dark brown to another shade of brown. For example, let me do it. I'm going to add another brown node. Why is it disappearing like that? And I'm going to connect the hair position to it, to the input, and I'm going to set the brown color like I was doing before, a darker one. Well, yeah, something like that. To another shade of brown, lighter brown like this, and I'm going to add a dirt shade of brown, something like this. And why is it still okay, this one? So I connect the out color to the input color in the shader, and there you have it. Let me make this one darker. Another question, what's the difference between the ramp and vector length? One will take into account the UVs of the hair, and the other will take into account the UVs and the length of the hair. The length of each strand individually. The difference can be seen here. This one is with vector length with this node here. So you take your hair position node, connect a vector length to it, and then you connect the vector length to the ramp, and you get this result. This take into account the UVs of each individual strand and the length of each individual strand. But the hair position node alone without vector length will take into account only the UVs of the hair. So you can see the difference here. This is with vector length, and this is without. In some cases, you might not want to take the length into the shader, but that's up to you. Whoops. why is it doing that? So the brown. Let me do a zoom out. We can see better the difference at the back. And I'm going to you want to create this gradient, and you also want to add randomization to this gradient. So you have to connect the gradient to the hair random color, and then connect it to the input color of the shader. So now you have your color from the root to the tip, and those colors are randomized as well. So you get this result. If I go to the ramp, I'm going to try to make this dark color more sharp so we can see it better. You see, now we can see the difference here. And I'm going to add a lighter color here so we can see the difference at the tips of the hair. We can see it now. Yeah. Let it render for a few seconds. Let's zoom in to see better the details. And let it render. Yeah, I'm going to show that now. I just want to get this one done. Right now, the randomization is too much, is too strong, because the hue is too high, right? Because this brown hair, but we are getting some green and yellow strands. But I use a high value here in the hue and in the hue, just so we can clear we can see the difference more. But yeah, that we can see better the difference. So the hair is brown. It goes dark brown at the top here. You can see dark brown here at the top. The hair goes to a very light yellow, and each shade this ramp have a color randomization, and we can see at the tips here the color is lighter. Well, the audio is breaking up. That's weird. Um, Maybe it has too much noise canceling. Uh, let me see. Let me reduce the noise canceling. What about now? How is the sound now? I don't think it's you. I think it is NVIDIA voice thing. Okay, so this is what I have right now. So it keeps breaking up, or what about now? Is it the same or better? Let's wait for breakthrough to reply. I want to make sure the audio is fine on my end. We have a new follower, Sunny. Welcome and thank you for following. I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to just lower the sound of the music, just in case. So, how is the sound now? Is it the same or a bit better? Okay, is it bad to the point that you don't understand what I'm saying? Okay, I want to try to restart the stream then, because I don't want the recording to be that bad. Uh, I'm not sure what I can do to fix that. Uh, what I'm going to do is restart the stream now and see if that helps.